right, so the last area we're comparing here is epistemology then, right? In which case, in the West, we see a very traditional view of epistemology in the sense that knowledge is considered possible, right? So it's just really about figuring out how to get that knowledge, whatever knowledge is possible. And because of the top-down nature, right? So because of the other characteristics that we've identified before, Western epistemology often ends up taking what is called an atomistic view of the knower. So much like we saw in dualism, right? When you conceive of knowing in the West, you think of the knower, which is you in this case, right? Or the person, whoever we're talking about, whether or not they know something. That person is considered distinct from the thing they are trying to know, right? In the East, right, that sort of relationship, because of monism, doesn't exist. You cannot separate the knower from the thing being known. And if anything, this almost coincides better with Einstein's relativity theory, if you know anything about that, right? Which is the idea that as soon as you introduce an observer into a situation, you change the thing that is being observed, right? The idea here is that in the West, there is much more skepticism in the sense that you cannot have what we think of as objective knowledge because everything is relative to who is trying to know what in what situation. There is no sense of like, oh, there's an objective truth about this knower knowing that thing and we can measure it, right? Knowledge is much more relative in Eastern parts of the world, much more situational is what we would call it in epistemology. Situational knowers, interconnected, right, to their environment. And so that's going to change the conception of even what sort of knowledge is possible, right? So this ends up being a sort of skepticism, right? We can't know everything, right? Because our knowledge is only going to be relative to our lived experience or what we have access to at a certain given time.